to come and arrest him. Should he do it?
I would do it if I was Tom. I think it's great. Gavin likes the publicity, but I think it would be a great thing. He's done a terrible job. Look, I like Gavin Newsom. He's a nice guy, but he's grossly incompetent. Everybody knows. All you have to do is look at the little railroad he's building. It's about 100 times over budget. We're putting a flagpole over there. Under budget. I always do under budget.
What does your intel tell you about these people causing all the problems in LA?
Oh,
Are they people ICE is trying to deport, or are they professional agitators?
the people that are causing the problem are professional agitators. They're insurrectionists. They're bad people. They should be in jail. Thank you.
Donald Trump is now saying that his border czar, Tom Homan, should arrest Gavin Newsom. We have absolutely slid off the deep end into fascism in America. If you needed any more example, look no further than this. I can't remember in the history of America a sitting president threatening a governor with being arrested, and for what reason, right? They're saying that Gavin Newsom is somehow interfering with the process of ICE being able to carry out their duties, but Gavin Newsom has done no such thing, and ICE has very much been conducting many, many raids in Los Angeles and across the country. And I kind of want to talk a little bit about some of the misconceptions about these raids that are happening, and how the right is kind of trying to paint the left in a certain way that is not true. Surprise, surprise. But before we do that, please be sure to like the video, subscribe to the channel, comment down below, and share with someone that is into politics. It helps out the channel a lot. So now what we're going to look at is Gavin Newsom's response to being threatened with being arrested by Tom Homan here.
Has been here 10 years. The fear, the horror, the hell is this guy? Come after me, arrest me. Let's just get it over with. Tough guy. You know, I don't give a damn. But I care about my community. I care about this community. The hell are they doing? These guys need to grow up. They need to stop. And we need to push back. And I'm sorry to be so clear, but that kind of bloviating is exhausting. So, Tom, arrest me. Let's go.
Wow, we got Newsom here pretty forcefully calling the administration's bluff here, saying, arrest me, do it, do it. This is exactly how you treat these bullies who like to bluster and bluff constantly. You call it out straight to its face. Do it, Tom Homan, right? Newsom knows how bad that would look politically for Trump and for his administration if Newsom was to be arrested in this case. So good on him for standing his ground and not backing down. This is after Trump sent in the National Guard. 2,000 troops from the National Guard were deployed in Los Angeles, with many, including Newsom, saying that the deployment of these National Guard troops was completely unnecessary and is only going to provoke more people to come out and do things that they shouldn't be doing in response. And, you know, I watched Steve Lookner covering these protests all throughout the weekend. I watched hours and hours of footage of people on the ground, on the front lines of these protests. And the LAPD riot police had everything under control, right? They were doing a good job, and they certainly don't even need the help of these National Guard troops that have been sent in. And the interesting thing is that the National Guard troops, they legally can't even assist ICE in removing an illegal alien out of the country. They're not federally authorized by law to do that. And so all they can basically do is protect ICE agents who are making arrests, who haven't needed any protection at all in the first place, and really it's more of a kind of symbolic thing where you have all these National Guard troops standing in the streets, not even really knowing what their orders are, what they're supposed to be doing. But to Trump and to the right, it's his administration showing a sign of strength, but really it's just causing more confusion, more chaos, more uncertainty around the awful situation in LA. And what I want to show you guys now is Trump claiming that these troops somehow saved Los Angeles from certain destruction, which is just absolute nonsense. If you go and look at the protests that were happening before the National Guard troops got sent in, the LA riot police had it under control, but Trump has to go and stick his head in places it shouldn't be and make things worse. So let's go ahead and look at this here. Donald Trump posted, "We made a great decision in sending the National Guard to deal with the violent instigated riots in California. If we had not done so, Los Angeles would have been completely obliterated. The very incompetent governor, Gavin Newsom, and Mayor Karen Bass should be saying, 'Thank you, President Trump. You are so wonderful. We would be nothing without you, sir.' Instead, they chose to lie to the people of California and America by saying we weren't needed and that these are peaceful protests. Just one look at the pictures and videos of the violence and destruction tells you all you have to know. We will always do what is needed to keep our citizens safe so we can together make America great again." Here's what Trump wants to do, right? Trump wants to agitate people to commit violence, to do something that they shouldn't do, and then use that as justification for a further crackdown on protesters, and to then crack down on even peaceful protesters, using the example of other violent protesters that he, in many cases, instigated in the first place by sending out these National Guard troops and the pure brazen actions of ICE that have instigated people to respond. And what I want to talk about now is this new tactic that ICE is deploying that many people are very upset about. And this is really at the crux, right, of these protests, is that people's constitutional rights are being violated by Donald Trump's administration, and people are not standing for it. So what I'll show you here. Oh, actually, first I want to show you Newsom. He put in a request to, he said, "I have formally requested the Trump administration rescind their unlawful deployment of troops in Los Angeles County and return them to my command. We didn't have a problem until Trump got involved. This is a serious breach of state sovereignty, inflaming tensions while pulling resources from where they're actually needed. Rescind the order, return control to California." So Newsom has officially asked for control to be returned to the state of California. Very good that he did that in an official capacity. And now what I'll show you here is an article from ABC News. It says, "In a new tactic, ICE is arresting migrants at immigration courts, attorneys say. Federal agents are arresting migrants at immigration courts, in some cases after their deportation cases have been dismissed. In the Trump administration's latest tactic to fast-track deportations, immigration attorneys have told ABC News. The attorneys said that the immigration enforcement officers have been waiting in immigration court buildings and arresting migrants who have had their cases dismissed, after which the migrants are placed into expedited removal proceedings by DHS. Gregory Zen, the senior director of government relations for the American Immigration Lawyers Association, said his group has tracked such courthouse arrests in 13 states and 19 cities over just the past 2 weeks. They're being fast-tracked for deportation and now are going to be deprived of getting a fair day in court and a fair opportunity to have their case be heard," Zen told ABC News. "These kind of tactics are ultimately undermining people's sense of the courts as a safe, neutral space for them to come and have their fair day in court. So they're literally coming to immigration hearings, and in most cases, having your immigration case dismissed, right, means that the government does not find you to be enough of a threat to continue with the case. But in Donald Trump's world, a case being dismissed is now open season to having people be shipped off into vans and into detention centers and then deported out of this country, right? You have the right trying to paint a picture of the left saying that, oh, well, the Democrats are on the team of violent criminals coming into our country. And do you really want violent criminals coming into our country? And, yeah, these people are being deported, but they shouldn't be here in the first place because they are they're breaking the law, and they're violent, awful people who don't deserve a chance to be here. That's their whole argument, right? But it's like, no, we're not fans of criminality or of violence on the left. What we are fans of is people's constitutional rights that are granted to them in the Constitution, and having your case heard in court is certainly something that is in the Constitution, and having your case be dismissed and then immediately deported, never even having the merits of your case heard in court, is completely unconstitutional, right? So we're standing up for people's constitutional rights here that are granted to them. And, at the start of Donald Trump's administration, you had him saying stuff like, well, we're only going to be going after the most violent, most egregious violators of the law and getting them out. And people went, okay, we'll see about that. And now what we have is people like, Kilmar Abrego Garcia, who has now been brought back to the United States after this whole battle with the courts over whether or not he was supposed to be here and if he was mistakenly deported or not. It was found, the Supreme Court found in a 9-0 decision, he was mistakenly deported. And this is a man who did not commit any violent crimes, right? But still was being deported. And as is the case with many immigrants who are being raided by ICE and having their constitutional rights walked all over by Donald Trump's administration, these are not people that have any evidence behind them committing violent crimes, right? I don't think you'll find anyone on the left that is going to be jumping up and down and supporting and fighting for violent criminals, people who come here and murder somebody or do something crazy like that. Yeah, those people should be deported, right? I'm not arguing that. I don't hear anyone on the left arguing for those people. No, they have a right to be here no matter what. No, that's not the case. But it's also not the case that Donald Trump is just deporting people that have committed violent crimes. So that's really at the crux of why people are so upset. I've seen a lot of people make the various quips over the weekend of people saying, why are people so mad about this? Why are people so mad about the law being enforced and having people who come here and commit crimes, having them be deported? Isn't that what we're supposed to, the government's supposed to do to keep us safe? Again, there is no evidence behind the vast majority of these deportations that these people have committed violent crimes, and they're not even being allowed to have their day in court. And a decision that usually meant that, an immigrant would be free to kind of pursue whatever avenue they would want to, being in this country, having your case dismissed, is now a green light for you to be picked up and put into a van and shipped off. which is just completely against the ideals of this country. It's completely against everything that the founding fathers stood for. And I'm very I'm heartened by the people that have shown up to protest. And it's not like whenever you get a whole bunch of angry people together, you're gonna have some people doing dumb things, right? Throwing cement at cop cars, okay? Throwing fireworks at cops, throwing rocks at cops. That should not happen, okay? People, stay peaceful. Do not throw rocks. Do not throw cement. Do not throw fireworks, okay? Because that's not helping anything, really. And it's really just feeding into their narrative that they want is, oh, look at these violent, crazy people. We need to crack down super hard on them. And, Trump wants this. That's why the main reason why the National Guard was even sent in was to antagonize protesters. But my point was that you're never going to have everybody acting completely in line and lawfully, right? When you have people this pissed off and ICE acting this brazenly, right? Don't violate people's constitutional rights so blatantly, Donald Trump. If you want peace throughout this country, don't use the office of ICE to just constantly trample on people's constitutional rights, because guess what? People are going to continue to be pissed off, and people are going to continue to let that be known. So, yeah, very, very remarkable images and a remarkable weekend in terms of what went down in LA. And you can't help but think about the George Floyd protests, which were, met with violent crackdowns in many cases as well. And I'll end the video saying this, is that people constantly cite COVID as being a reason that Donald Trump lost the 2020 election. But I think you also had a lot of first-time voters, a lot of young people who were very much keyed into the George Floyd protests in the summer of 2020. And it was a case where, for really the first time ever, probably, a white officer was being met with serious consequences for the murder of an innocent, unarmed black man. And people didn't have it, right? And Donald Trump cracked down violently. And I think that this propelled a lot of voters to put Joe Biden over the edge in the election. It was COVID, but I think that the factor of the George Floyd protests was certainly at play as well. And where all those people went in the 2024 election, or why they chose to sit out, people can forget pretty quickly. People can forget how bad things got under Trump. And, a year, 2 years, 3 years passes, and it's ancient history. January 6th, ancient history. George Floyd protests, ancient history in the minds of a lot of voters in 2024. And that's apparently how Donald Trump was able to win again. And now we're in a situation where, the Republicans may have a political shitstorm on their hands. You combine Trump's ICE immigration raids with this absolutely disastrous spending bill that is a huge tax on the poorest in this country to give more and more to the richest in this country. You combine that all together, and this feud with Elon Musk, right? And Donald Trump needs a win. Like, he needs a win now. He needs a win yesterday, because I'm interested to see where the polling goes from these ICE raids and the protests related to them. We'll see how much the momentum is going to be able to be kept up throughout the week. It seems like these protests have died down. let's see if, over the weekend, this next weekend, there's more protests in Los Angeles. And, I'm here in Albuquerque, New Mexico, right? Albuquerque, New Mexico is largely seen as a sister city to LA. And we certainly do not like Donald Trump here. When he came to, in 2016, he came to downtown Albuquerque, and there was riots, right? There was face-offs with the police when Trump came here. So much so that when he came back in 2019 for his 2020 campaign, he moved it out to a satellite city here called Rio Rancho, which is a MAGA infested city. And I was there at that protest, as a matter of fact. There at the rally protesting with my fellow Burqueños. Absolutely surreal experience. I'll have to talk about that in more detail sometime when I went with my friend Alex to protest Donald Trump. But my point of bringing that up is, I wonder if we're going to see any sort of action here in Albuquerque in terms of protesting these ICE raids, because we also have a lot of undocumented people here. And the things I've been hearing in the streets, if you will, is that people are scared, right? People are not having the time of their life. Let's just put it that way. Living here under Donald Trump's fascist administration that, again, has no problem trampling all over people's constitutional rights. So that's all I got for you guys in this one. Thank you so much for watching. Please be sure to like the video, subscribe to the channel, comment down below, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Take care.